Hello and welcome to Moneyline, the best sports talk show in all of Massachusetts, in all of New Hampshire, in all of Vermont, in all of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, New York, Maine, in all of New England, and soon all the Northeast. With me, as always, the voice of reason himself, CRISTIANO.
That's the largest sports market in the world, isn't it? The Northeast.
Yeah, that's what you want to be ahead of,
right?
And that's what we're part of.
Thank God.
Well, it's because of you.
Of course it is. Right.
It's because of you. It's because of me. It's because of everything.
Sure.
I promised I would start off with this because I had my show with Maria earlier.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, hit me up.
Yeah. Well,
did you tell her what I told about Dana Taurasi?
Yeah. She said it's New York, so it's it doesn't count.
So I can only ask the questions in Connecticut, California, and New Jersey.
Yeah, those are the only places it really counts.
Oh.
It doesn't matter in New York.
New York, it doesn't matter.
No, New York, we don't matter.
I gotcha.
So, Angel Reese, she complained that the WNBA officiating was quote unquote fixed, and she was she was just disgusted with it. The refereeing's terrible. She thinks that they can compete with the best, even though they're 5-12. They're one of the worst teams in the league.
Didn't she make the All-Star squad?
She's on the All-Star team. She's going to be teammates with Caitlin Clark. That's another story. She criticized the officials, saying that they need to do better.
Sure. And
that they have wars inside and nothing gets fouled on her.
Right.
Nothing gets called on her. She goes to the foul line. You know, when she's going to the foul line, her second time in the fourth quarter, there's something wrong with that. And she says that she drives more, or one of her teammates said that they drive more than anyone else in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And she's shooting 6 free throws a game. I believe, this is Kelsey Plum. She's on the Sparks, and
sure.
Maria's a fan of hers.
Yes.
And it's just, she's got scratches on her face, scratches on her body. And the guards on these other teams get ticky-tack fouls, i.e. Caitlin Clark. When officials don't control
ticky-tack fouls,
don't get control of the ball game, when they allow this stuff to happen, it's been happening all season. It's not just the game. It's not just this game. This is what happens, right? And she's showing the injuries she has, that she's battered. And it's just frustrating for them. And, you know, the officiating in the NBA and the WNBA is subjective. And
sure.
I believe that you have to earn the right to get certain calls.
Well, do you know, let's put it this way. You know, in the NBA, sometimes when you have to question whether it's a travel or not, you know, it's like,
it's always a travel.
Yeah, right. But did he
just
take
like the NFL?
Steps?
It's always a hold.
Yeah, no. Did he take 3 steps? Didn't he take 3 steps? I think it's a travel. In the WNBA, you don't have to question it ever. The pace is so much slower than the men's game.
So you can see, Blake.
You can see. So these refs either have to be totally blind or totally incoherent, to not be able to call the game correctly. These young women are saying that's not happening.
Right.
I mean, so here's the other thing. She wants fouls. They obviously don't call any fouls on her. She's over the back. She's getting 6,000 me bounds a game.
Yes, the me bounds, right.
So she's obviously going over the back of somebody.
Right.
And they're not calling that.
Right. She's getting away with murder.
Right. It still irritates me. And I don't understand Maria's angle. I really don't. And I understand it, but I don't. She has a better inside knowledge of the game than me. So I can't say this is it. But for her to say that and even her, I think she takes bias towards Caitlin Clark. The way she was talking about
she was not a Caitlin Clark fan,
right? Because this is a young woman coming into the league that has drawn the entire stardom towards her, and I think that most women who are playing or have played or have some association with the WNBA,
well, they built it from the ground up.
What did they build? They were a losing organization.
They still are.
Right. You're losing money every year.
But
what are you building up?
But like I said, they got the biggest TV contract.
Half of zero is zero.
They got the biggest TV contract that they've ever gotten.
Right.
$200 million a year.
$200 million. So can they make a profit these next 5 years or 10 years of the contract?
They should make a profit starting next year.
How much?
At worst.
$8?
$8.32.
Really?
That's how much they should make.
That's what I understand. The hatred towards her, and they see she's a whiner and a complainer. You know what? I really haven't seen a basketball player at the pro level not whine and complain.
Well, yeah.
I mean, at some point they're going to all the time. And I was watching some social media, and there's a couple women. Caitlin Clark is injured again and not playing.
Yeah, she's out with a groin injury. Yeah,
I can finally watch the game and just feel at peace.
Yes,
because I don't have to watch Caitlin Clark and they just don't want to give. People are tuning in to watch the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark and going. I think this has to be the highest attendance season record ever.
We won't know, but last year was.
They're going to top it this year,
and they're moving the Indiana Fever Dallas game to the Dallas Mavericks arena
to the moon.
No, because Paige is playing Caitlin Clark.
Right.
They're moving because they're expecting.
And Paige has been a good draw. There's another talented athlete coming.
Yeah, but she keeps her mouth shut. She doesn't whine as much.
Right.
She's been much better than Caitlin Clark was perceived her rookie year. And this is the first time that 5 rookies have made the WNBA All-Star game.
Right. So that shows the talent level on the back end is really bad.
That does. It shows that it's rising.
Yeah, right.
That and Maria said, more girls are watching it.
Right.
More girls are getting into it and playing it at a high level.
And that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Right.
That is a good thing.
But to champion that, this woman here has drawn the ire of everybody in the league. The only reason she's drawn the ire of everyone in the league is because she's making top dollar.
Well, she's making top dollar off of endorsements.
Correct. Which the other ones are not getting.
Right.
I mean, you may have a CarMax endorsement with a few WNBA players inside of a car, which I couldn't recognize 3 out of the 4. But the bottom line, you have someone that is recognizable, someone that is young, someone that is talented, and someone that is getting a major chunk of the endorsement money. And the older veterans are upset because they feel that she hasn't put her time in. That's basically it. Right. That's where the hate is.
Right.
No, I agree. They hate that she complains about everybody complains about the fucking call.
They just hate that she's good.
Right.
They hate that she's good.
Right.
With that being said, there was another burglary that took place, and there's a robbery that has been going on for professional athletes. And whether you like to call it or not, WWE stars have their homes burglarized while they're on the road.
Is that the World Wildlife Federation?
No, they lost it. They lost that.
They lost that title?
They lost that in court, so that's why.
How did they lose that in court? So the WWF the Wildlife Federation was older than the WWE.
The way that the law worked was WWF.
Yeah.
The World Wildlife Fund existed before the WWF.
Okay.
It used to be the WWF.
Okay.
And then Vince shortened it to WWF.
Right.
They came to an agreement that WWF could use those symbols on American soil or North America only. Well, Vince being Vince and having the brass balls that he has, in 2002 decided to promote an event, WWF, over in London.
Right.
The WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, was not too happy with this and sued the WWF. Vince, knowing that he was going to lose this because they hadn't a written agreement for 20 years, he went to WWE because we're entertainment. It's no big deal. We're just World Wrestling Entertainment.
Sure.
But that is why the WWF lost.
Why wouldn't Vince come to a certain agreement with the WWF and don't even part of the gate?
They weren't budging on it.
They refused money.
I don't think Vince was offering money.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they would have to promote. If they, if he offered like a percentage of 5% per gate to the WWF.
Right. Well,
maybe. Yeah, maybe he would have taken
and
it.
you could incorporate the two organizations together. I mean, you could have Hulk Hogan wrestle a bear.
Yeah, well, that's happened before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What was it? Jimmy Superfly Snuka could take a bald eagle on. I mean, there's so many different combinations you could have here.
Bruno Sammartino wrestled a bear.
Bruno Sammartino did wrestle a bear.
Yes.
Was it an Italian bear?
No, this was in Toronto.
Was it an Italian woman? Sometimes their hair is bears.
It was in Toronto. No.
Oh, Toronto. All right. Well, that's a Canadian bear.
Yeah. So that is why.
So the Canadian bear fought at 30% less efficiency.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
But there's this burglary ring that allegedly had stopped because it was really sophisticated. They would target athletes' homes when they were on road games.
Didn't they catch those guys?
They did, but it happened again. It happened.
Did those guys get out early on Biden's early release program?
Early release program? They might have.
Was it under $1,000? Could have been under $1,000 in theft.
That show's probably next. No, they got a lot of money.
Right.
They got a lot of money.
So it was a felony then.
It was.
But they got off on a felony.
I think they're in jail.
Oh, so this is a new group.
I don't know. They don't know who it is. All I know is
they were Hispanics, weren't they? Were they a group of Central Americans who were robbing?
Yeah,
right.
But this was WWE, a WWE wrestler and his wife.
Yeah,
their summer home got broken into and robbed, cash, jewelry, and all that.
Ric Flair?
No. Seth Rollins, your boy.
It was Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
He was in my bar.
I know.
Oh, no.
You're
terrible. I've never met him, but geez, I feel terrible now. I got some sort of connection with him.
That's why I brought it up.
So they busted into Seth Rollins' home.
Summer home in California.
Summer home. So he wasn't there.
Yeah. They broke.
And the wife wasn't there.
They just blatantly broke. Well, they knew they were on the Northeast for a show in Providence.
Sure.
And
that's when they bust in. What kind of security do these guys have?
It's a summer home. I don't know. It probably not much, but they stole, money, gold, jewelry, all that stuff.
Sure.
So there's fear that the ring may start again. And, they may start targeting athletes' houses because it was a problem for years.
Well, I mean, has anybody reported this to Donald Trump?
And now
he should take care of this right away. Put a few extra ICE agents on the case.
Well, they've been telling athletes, to beef up security at their house, install cameras, higher ed security systems.
Right.
But there's fear that it could start taking place again, and it could take place throughout the 2025 NFL season.
Right.
Because where these athletes are going to be. But if I was to rob your house.
Sure.
This is what comes to mind.
Of course.
If I was to if my house were to get robbed, your house were to get robbed, cash, jewelry, none of that is in your house.
No, basically not.
Well, we're telling everyone, no.
I mean,
people don't keep that stuff in their house, right?
Yeah, nobody's got cash.
Nobody carries cash anymore.
No.
That's what baffles me.
Jewelry,
maybe some jewelry,
things like that. Sure.
Maybe TVs, some electronics.
Yeah.
But as far as hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, I can't believe NFL players would be reckless like that to keep that amount of money in their house.
Listen, you want to take stuff out of my house? I will walk you through the house. You can take whatever you want. And I'll just report double the loss on the insurance claim.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God, they took 6 Rolexes. They're right here. They were right here. I had them documented.
But that's what I'm saying. Your house, my house, there's no cash lying around.
No.
If there is, it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Correct.
So that's what boggles my mind is why in the NFL would NFL players, even pro wrestlers, why would pro wrestlers get checks? They have direct deposit now.
Yeah. It's
not like the old days where the promoters would just hand them cash. Why would they carry that kind of money in their homes?
Some people like to have, I always have cash in my pocket. Not a lot, but I've got to have some kind of cash. I don't know how people go with just a card.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially if you go on a long trip or somewhere, you got to have some cash.
Yeah.
If your card is rejected, if your card is stolen,
anything can happen. Right.
So you got to have some cash.
Or you're stuck. Right.
Right. But to have that. So I have people that are employed for me. They don't have a checking account. They don't have a checking account.
That's impossible.
No. Why is it impossible? You don't need a checking
They
account.
say you issue them a check and they say, I'm sorry, I don't have a checking account.
No, they just take it and they cash it at a local cashing place.
Oh, they where they get a percentage of it.
They give a couple of dollars back to the cashing place and they get their money.
Yeah.
They don't want to have a checking account because I know one woman who worked for me years ago didn't have a checking account because she had gone through some kind of a divorce or whatever, and stuff was being deducted from her checking account.
Oh,
monthly.
so she's
like, I'm just going to have a checking account. That's it.
Right.
You got nothing to deduct.
Right. So that's one of those cases where you're having all the cash under your mattress.
Yeah, that's it. Some people like that. I mean, I get you.
So you don't think this could be turned into anything bigger than it is? You think it could be just an isolated incident?
No, I mean, it could be a group of guys again and all together doing the same thing over, different ones.
And maybe they learned from the others in prison.
Of course they did. Well, you get a couple phone calls a day, don't you? I heard you get a laptop when you're in solitary confinement.
You get a tablet.
Senator Griffith told me you get a tablet.
I agreed with you. I told you Turtle Boy got a tablet.
That's insanity.
Yeah, you get a tablet.
That's insanity.
You can rent a tablet.
Why have solitary confinement then? You might as well just
it's not considered solitary. It's considered being on the medical wing. You're on the medical wing, you get a tablet.
What's the medical wing? Are they sick?
Well, Turtle Boy got put there because he's a pseudo celebrity. So they didn't want to put him in solitary, which is punishment.
Why, he's going to get beaten up?
Yeah, they thought he was going to get beaten up.
That's Turtle Boy's problem.
I know.
Keep your mouth shut.
But they have to keep him safe.
Yeah.
And there's people that he had...
They have to keep him safe? Why do they have to keep him safe?
Because there's people that he had reported on in the same prison.
So what?
So they figured that they would be out for revenge against
Good.
them.
Throw them out there. Should never report on those people. Exactly.
So you're for Turtle Boy getting beat up.
Snitches get stitches. Right?
He's not snitches. He's reporting the news. He's a journalist.
Oh, it's just news?
Turtle Boy's a journalist. He's the number one journalist in Worcester.
The news leads to people being incarcerated?
Well, when he reports on thieves and bad people, yeah.
So he actually points out people that have stolen stuff.
If you look up Monica Cannon Grant in Boston, Monica Cannon Grant ran a fake nonprofit in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And she embezzled millions of dollars from people.
Okay.
And she used it on her lavish lifestyle. Sure. This is the same old thing you hear from nonprofits.
All the time.
Turtle Boy discovered this, reported it, and she's facing 20 federal indictments because of it.
And Monica was going to shiv him in prison?
No, Monica isn't in prison.
Right.
Yet. But there's countless others who he's reported on who are in prison because of his journalism. Turtle Boy was...
How did he get into prison?
Witness intimidation on the Karen Reed trial. It's a long story. You don't know Karen Reed. You don't know the story.
I don't know the story.
Well, Karen Reed was indicted for murder.
Yeah, she got off or something.
She got off, but Turtle Boy would go up to her witnesses and say, hey, Jen, how come you deleted this phone call? How come you made this phone call at 2:30 in the morning? He went to her daughter's lacrosse game at the high school and was filming her, asking her questions.
So he was
exercising his First Amendment right.
No. He was believing that she's guilty.
Well, no, he was just asking her questions as to why she was part of the cover-up.
The question, well, if you're saying the questions are loaded to say why she's part of the cover-up, because he feels that she's guilty.
Well, she is guilty.
Well, she got off.
No. I'm talking about he interviewed a witness in Karen Reed's trial.
Karen Reed got off, though.
Yes, Karen Reed got off. But he interviewed a witness against Karen Reed.
Right.
In the Karen Reed trial.
And that's why he went to jail.
Yes.
Right. And what I'm saying is he's going in interviewing that witness with a jaded edge.
Not with a jaded edge. He asked, she did delete a phone call. Why did you delete a phone call at 2:30 in the morning? That was his question. And he filmed it.
And just because of that question, he went to jail?
Because of that and several other questions, yeah. He asked she deleted a Google search. How long to die in the cold? Which was how the victim died, was from hypothermia.
The witness Googled all this?
Yes.
Or Karen Reed Googled
this? The
witness
Googled all this.
And then the witness supposedly was friends with Karen Reed.
She was, and she turned on her, and then she reported Turtle Boy for harassment, and Turtle Boy faces 11 counts of witness intimidation.
Yeah, this is too much for me. Okay.
Well, the witness intimidation statute is only if you fear harm from a witness.
Sure.
But it was...
with the name Turtle Boy, you fear harm from Turtle Boy?
That's the thing. He's 5'9". He's 170 pounds. He's a little guy.
He's a killer.
Yeah, he's a killer.
He's a snapping turtle.
He's not. The other news that came out was Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
And Michael Penix.
Okay.
And Kirk Cousins finally came out. The Netflix new series Quarterback. They're not our sponsor, but they you know how they have a series.
Do we have sponsors?
We have a couple. Yeah, we have a couple. They come out and they follow quarterbacks around for a year.
Gotcha.
You've never watched it?
Never watched it.
Okay. Well, they're following Kirk Cousins this year. And the first episode,
were they going to follow him drinking water the whole series?
They're following Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow. I can't remember the rest.
Kirk Cousins stretching on the sidelines. What are they going to follow Kirk Cousins?
I know. They picked him.
He's
but
number 2.
He came out and he said that he felt misled by the Falcons organization over the selection of Michael Penix Jr. Because he had signed the $100 million guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
A few weeks earlier.
Yeah. 4 years. Sure.
Atlanta then stunned the NFL by drafting Penix.
Right.
Because the franchise believed in him as a future franchise quarterback.
Sure.
And Cousins is quoted as saying, certainly if I had the information around free agency, it would have affected my decision. He said on the first episode of Quarterback, the new season, I had no reason to leave Minnesota, which how much we loved it there. If both teams are going to be drafting a quarterback high, but I've also learned in 12 years in this league that you're not entitled to anything. It's about being able to earn your spot and prove yourself. And it's because the Vikings had drafted JJ McCarthy just a few spots later, and Atlanta had drafted Penix Jr. And to be fair, the Falcons started 6-3.
Yes.
With Cousins as the quarterback.
Correct.
He got hurt.
Yep.
He tried to play hurt. And they started 6-3. They lost 4 in a row because he was playing hurt. And, the information he had at the time, they didn't know that his forearm was broken or shattered or whatever. And he said that he remembered reading Drew Brees' book back in 2010 when he first wrote it, how he made the point that he tried to never let his backup see the field. Even if he was just a somebody who was really no threat, he felt that he felt like you never should do that. And it was Doug Flutie who taught him that, because as we know, Breeze backed up Flutie in San Diego for a brief time. So it was something he was aware of. And, you don't want to get Wally pipped going back to the Lou Gehrig situation. Right. And the Falcons did eventually bench Cousins in week 16. Penix took over and played solidly, and the team went 1-2.
Right.
But very, very shortly after that is when they announced Penix would be the starter going forward. So Kirk Cousins finally comes out and says, he felt a little bit betrayed, a little bit ambushed by the selection. He knew that they were going to take a number 2 at some point, but he didn't expect it to be in the first round.
Right.
Now, do you think with the AFC South being the dumpster fire that it was, had they taken a weapon, a receiver,
or NFC South,
a lineman, or the NFC South, a weapon, a receiver, a lineman, could they have competed with the Bucs for the title? Could they have making a run for the playoffs?
No.
With Cousins at quarterback?
No. They could have made a run with. They could have made a run if Cousins was healthy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he was healthy.
No, if he was healthy, yeah. I mean, they could draft something different. Sure. I mean, as long as he's healthy. But here's the thing. I'm sure they signed Cousins with the entire intent of starting him and him taking charge of the team.
Correct.
Then comes draft day, and they can't believe Penix fell to that spot, and they had Penix rated very high.
Well, Penix didn't play great in the national championship game.
No, well, he didn't, but he was facing a good defense, and the talent differential. You could see the talent differential between the two teams. So the surrounding cast was probably not as good as he would need it to win that game. But I think on their draft board, Penix was the guy. That's who they wanted.
But he could not have been the guy because the expectations were that he would not have fallen that far.
No, but he's the guy at that spot.
At that spot,
I'm sure
if
they
you're
turned
going
around,
by best available,
yes. Yeah, they're looking at each other going, oh my God, I can't believe Penix fell this low. We got to take him.
We got to
And they took him.
Yeah.
And you know what? Lo and behold, they needed him because Cousins got hurt. The game, the NFL it's a brutal sport, man. You're the king one day and you're retired the next. It's something where you have to prove yourself day in and day out. Just like Cousins says, you don't want to walk out at any point and let the backup sniff the air. So I can understand that completely, but you can't berate Atlanta because if they felt that was the guy at that spot, that's the best one. I mean, I'm telling you, they were probably flabbergasted that the guy was there. And that's why they took him.
No, I agree. Do you think that he was the best pick for that spot overall? Even, being at 8, there was nobody better than Penix. Because I don't think he was the best quarterback of that draft.
No, no, not the best quarterback of that draft, but maybe
was he the best quarterback at the time?
At the time available, and also one who was a veteran, an older quarterback who had stayed all the way through into college.
Right. He did.
One that had. I mean, again, he had several injuries as well.
Yeah.
So he had been, coming back from injury a few times, but
he's been around the block.
Right. But I think what that pick could a different player have helped them? Sure. Don't know how much, don't know at what position. But in the end, this pick was the right pick because they found their starter now. I mean, this is the guy they have. I can't see him going back to Cousins.
You think he'll last?
Yeah, I do.
And you think it's worth paying Cousins $27.6 million?
I think for this year,
it's fully guaranteed.
Yeah,
He's got a no trade clause.
Yeah. I think for this year, definitely it does because what happens if Penix goes down? You need it. This is a 2 quarterback league. This isn't a 1 quarterback league.
No, I agree. You've said it.
You got to pay
1.
You got to pay. You got to pay for 2, maybe 3. You got to have a third guy.
You've said it since day 1.
You can't function without that. And realize the quarterback has the biggest target on his back.
Yeah.
So I think you need 2 solid guys. You need 2 starters at that position. You're going to have to fight it out, and one guy's not going to play much, and that's just what it is. But I think that was a good pick for them.
Hey, there he is.
Hola, senors.
Coach Schuman running camp all day. I love the tan.
Oh, yeah. 2 more days. 2 more days.
2 more days, and you're done.
Yeah, it's fun. We're like a Sandlot crew over there.
What do you got, a dip in?
No.
Oh, okay. Must be my computer. We were talking about Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix Jr., and Kirk Cousins. And your thoughts on the situation, because you're the quarterback whisperer. And, Cousins came out today and for the first time kind of said, I felt betrayed. I felt ambushed. I felt misled by the organization when they took Penix Jr. at that spot 2 years ago. And they paid Cousins bonus $10 million. And they're paying him the $27.6 million of his salary, fully guaranteed, as a backup. Do you think that's the smart move instead of trading him for some capital?
That's a good question, actually.
Oh, wow. Well, I actually asked a good question.
Yeah. I mean, good for whom? I mean, do you think that they could get some pieces that would be able to fill in?
Yeah.
I mean, they got
a good running back.
What would people trade for him? Kirk Cousins.
I think you'd get a second for him, wouldn't you? At least. I know you're looking at your phone, but
if you're talking to me, I mean,
second or a third
for Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get that, but you got to see how much of the salary they're willing to eat too.
That was the issue.
Part of it. I don't know if you can get them to do that.
That was the issue. Yes, they would be on the hook for the salary, but they would get the capital.
He's there for this year, and then I think he's fair game after the season's over. I think they're going to go with a 1-year record of Penix. They're going to see how he plays out the entire year. If there's hope, progress, and excitement for him, not this year but next, Penix stays, and they're going to find a place, a home for Cousins, and then they'll take someone as a backup to Penix.
How old is Kirk Cousins now?
30, 33?
He's in his early 30s, I believe. He's in his early 30s, but he was just saying that had he known the situation going in, that both teams were going to take younger quarterbacks, he may have stayed in Minnesota. Because they loved Minnesota, they loved being there, and he feels that had he known going in, he would have tried to stay with them.
He's getting paid no matter what.
No, he is older. He is 36.
36. Yeah, he's getting paid. He's 36 and he's getting paid.
He had 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions last year.
33. Wow. Okay, 36.
Yeah, I thought he was younger too.
Yeah, but he's getting. Listen, woe is me. 20,
yeah,
20, 25 a year, 30 a year.
He got 10 million as his bonus.
Yeah,
he got 10 million as his bonus, and he's going to get paid 27.6.
And he's one play away from stepping in for the whole season. You never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
Penix is injury prone too. Whole college career he's been injury prone.
So so this ACL on his he had an ACL
multiple times. Yeah, I mean he's been knocked around. So this was the other reason I brought up the burglary thing, because Joe Burrow.
What burglary?
You remember the crew that was burglarizing NFL players' homes and stealing cash, jewelry when they were on the road?
I remember the story. I don't know who it was, but I remember the story.
They got caught. They got caught last year.
Okay.
But
they got early released on the Biden program.
Yeah. Wow.
But one of because I watch wrestling, and Frank mocks it.
Of course.
One of the pro wrestlers had his summer house broken into.
Yeah, he was in my bar, Dave.
He was in Frank's
bar. Was in my bar.
Maybe Frank had something to do with it.
This was in my bar like 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
That's and cash, jewelry, everything was stolen. And I don't know if you watch on Netflix the series Quarterback.
I watched a couple of episodes. I really didn't find it interesting.
Didn't really find it interesting. No. Well, Joe Burrow, because of the burglaries, it changed his mind about purchasing basically a replica, fully functioning house of his in Baltimore. He wanted to move to Baltimore, and he changed his mind about the purchase because of the robberies. He says the robberies altered his plans.
I've heard of wanting to move to Florida. I know the Carolinas are real strong right now with the migration.
Baltimore's not a
Arizona. Arizona sounds like a nice place to go to.
Why did he want to move to Baltimore? Why?
He said, I didn't end up getting the Baltimore home because I just had other things I wanted to deal with at that point. I just
like living.
I get very uncomfortable. My life is very public. That comes with the job, but there's certain parts of your life that are yours. Your house is one of those. So it showed him, he was very upset about it. He had loved this house in Baltimore, and he had planned on moving there.
Baltimore?
Why?
Because of the string of robberies.
Well, it had to be a nice suburb.
Why did he want to move to Baltimore?
There's probably a nice suburb
out there. No one looks at the map.
I'll tweet him.
Nobody looks at the map. They go, map, here it is, the United States. And they go, let's pick a city. Oh, Baltimore. That's where I want.
Well, or hey,
no one hasn't he watched the show?
The Wire. The Wire.
I'm gonna call a realtor in Gary, Indiana. Could I get to Gary, Indiana?
The only reason you would repopulate Gary, Indiana, where it was depopulated from, is that you were going to buy cheap real estate that you were going to gentrify somehow and turn into Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
So, but there's no other reason why you would, and there's very few people that would have the billions to say, I'm going to take a place and rebuild it. So Baltimore does not. I like that. Is he
says nobody has ever wanted to. Nobody wanted to.
Not that Baltimore is. I've been there. There's great things about Baltimore, but
there's
still no one says.
I got to get there.
If you move there because you have a job, you move there because you play for the Baltimore Ravens, you work at Johns Hopkins.
Yep.
All that makes sense. You live in Baltimore. But
gotta
nobody
get there.
said you have to be gainfully employed in Baltimore to move to Baltimore.
Yeah.
To want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey
It's
guys,
not like I'm going to get a summer home in Montana.
let's move to Oakland. Hey, can we move to Oakland?
So
Sing Sing. Let's move to Sing Sing.
Sing Sing. That's a lot of free
top 10
rooms there.
places.
A lot of free
They're
rooms.
on the top 10 places where you want to move to. This has to do with our favorite team, the Cleveland Browns. A class action lawsuit was filed over funding the plan for the new Browns stadium. Ohio Republicans' strategy for funding a new dome stadium for Cleveland using residents' unclaimed funds violates multiple provisions of the state and federal constitutions, according to a class action lawsuit filed with the county clerk. They're trying to block this new stadium because the Haslams Jimmy Haslam can't help but step on his dick. The lawsuit alleges that
taking a really small step, one small step for mankind,
that taking from the state's unclaimed funds account to pay for the stadium that the Haslam Sports Group is planning for suburban Brook Park, south of Cleveland, violates constitutional prohibitions against taking people's private property for government use, as well as citizens' due process. The city of Cleveland has fought this plan. This has been going on for 2 years because the Haslams want a new stadium. The 2-year, $60 billion operating budget that diverts more than $1 billion in unclaimed funds. I don't even know what that means. To create an Ohio Cultural and Sports Facility Performance Grant Fund and designate $600 million for the Browns as its first grant. So what is the unclaimed money fund?
Every state has it. It's monies that have been put into
escrow or something?
Protected account. No, a state-run account that should have been reimbursed to you, whether it be an insurance check or something. It just didn't get to you or didn't get processed correctly. It goes into, instead of just the money goes into. I've gotten these. I get these letters once every 4 or 5 years. I have some money in an unclaimed account.
And you have to
go online, go here, go there. I do everything they want me to, and then I can't get it out. It's no lie. Like I had like $800 one time, and I couldn't get it out.
To get it out.
I just said, I told the lady after 45 minutes arguing on the phone, I said, "Listen, you keep it.
You guys got it.
You guys keep it. I'll take care of you. No worries. This is my donation to the state. I can't do it. Deal with it no more." Yeah.
Dave, have you heard of this in Jersey? They have that in Jersey.
What, escrow?
An unclaimed monies account.
Yes, there are unclaimed monies.
And do you have plenty?
No. Sometimes I get a text that says that I have unclaimed money, but it's a fraud.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Do you agree?
Hello, Mr. Schuman. This is Mohammed from Nigeria, and I wanted to let you know that there's an unclaimed.
Sounds like Mohammed, but his name is Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff.
Mohammed makes him sound more like exotic.
Like he's coming for your money.
Yeah.
But do you believe that they should take money from this fund to build a new stadium in Cleveland? They've been trying for 2 years.
There's a lot of money sometimes in unclaimed funds.
Yeah, they said that. They said, over $1 billion in unclaimed funds in Ohio. So they want to take $600 million and give the grant to the Browns to build this new stadium.
I almost once there was one of those get rich quick schemes where you could represent people that have unclaimed funds but don't realize it, and you take a percentage. You take a percentage and you go find their unclaimed funds, and you call them. So you go to get the scrolls of unclaimed funds, and you
look through it.
Yeah, you call them and say, "Listen, I'll help you get those unclaimed funds." And you take a 10%.
I've had several conversations with my long lost cousin Mumbutu Cristiano in Nigeria. I keep getting faxes and emails. He says, "I have about $10 million that is coming my way if I would Just send him,
just
send him my bank account number and social
Send him
security number.
yeah, just send him your wire, and then he might make you actually meet him there in
Right,
Nigeria.
in Nigeria. Yeah.
Just be careful
Lagos.
if they kidnap you. Be careful.
Sure. Yeah, missing a head.
Yeah.
So you don't have fully faith in this fund or the people that are calling to give you that money.
No.
Anyone who's calling,
I do have another great story that I'm reminded of in this key moment here. Back in 1999, or maybe it was 2000 already. These Nigerian schemes were very new. And
yes, they'd say they were locked up and they needed your help.
I got an email, and I kid you not, I got an email, and it was one of those exact schemes. And I go back and forth with the guy, okay? And then finally, I give him my number. He calls me, and we're on the phone. And I talked to this guy in Nigeria, obviously, or wherever he was from, and he starts explaining to me how once I had a conversation with him, he never stopped harassing me over and over and over and over again.
Well, you needed to help him get free.
Until I realized my boss came over to me and said, I said,
who are you talking to?
I said, I have $3 million that's going to come my way. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I showed it to him. He goes, are you crazy? He's like, it's the biggest scam going on right now, you know? So I realized right then I wasn't going to get free $3 million. So, but yes, that has since become the biggest. Obviously, those scams are all over the place now.
All over.
But do you think that the Browns should do this to get their new stadium? Have the Haslams earned this?
Who's opposed to it?
Well, no. The people of the city of Cleveland filed a class action lawsuit opposed to it.
So are they going to claim any of those funds?
I didn't say anything about that.
They can't, because the state keeps saying you have no access to it. And it says, the letter says, or the email, if you don't claim these funds by a certain time, it gets rolled back into the state coffers. So they keep denying you the access. Yeah, it's all
so
scam.
They say you can claim it, but you really can't claim it.
I can't. I'm telling you, I couldn't get in. I don't know what the hell they wanted. A different password, a name. I gave them everything. I gave them everything. I said, here it is. I was on the phone for a long time. And the thing is that I think
and you were with the lady. You were out with the lady.
Yeah, it's a big scam. It's the way the state can legally take money that has been assigned to state residents. And it's their money, but they can't get access.
So you think this lady purposely gave you the runaround?
It's not the lady. It's the way they set up the system.
So you think if you stayed on with her like another 40 minutes, you would have gotten that?
I would have got nothing.
Oh, okay.
I would have got nothing.
You get nothing like it.
Right.
Okay. Well, no, I was just curious because, Cleveland Stadium is falling apart and they need one badly. They've been trying to get this done for 2 years. What do you think about it, Dave? I mean, do you think that they should give this money towards the new stadium? The Haslams have had problems of their own.
What problems have they had?
Well, they've been sued several times. They signed Deshaun Watson. I mean,
they get Deshaun Watson $250 million.
Get fully guaranteed. I mean, they're just not great.
He owns the Flying J pilot stops.
Yeah. I mean, he just doesn't seem like a very good guy.
Shower there. You get a shower.
You do?
Oh, you never been to like a Flying J or?
I never heard of it.
You never been to a truck stop? Like in
the truck stop,
the pilot truck stops.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that where they have the glory holes?
Yeah, they got maybe. They have showers there. Everything. The accommodations are pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. Okay. They got all kinds of food.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And Dave,
how hard is it to be a general manager? Is it really that hard that you can mess up an entire franchise?
They have.
Right.
But
how hard is it to evaluate talent? Is it that hard?
It must be, because so many people screw it up.
Yeah, but not to the point where Cleveland has, right?
Well, they were in the playoffs a couple of years ago with Joe Flacco as their quarterback.
They were, but that was on a lot of emotion and an empty gas tank. They ran out of gas. My thing is, how difficult? All right, so Joe Flacco took it. How does Joe Flacco step in the equation? How do they not know he could help them out before? Why have Deshaun Watson in the first place? Why sign a guy like that kind of contract? Why dump Johnny Manziel? Why dump what's his name was with Tampa Bay?
Baker Mayfield.
Why
He
dump Baker Mayfield?
played injured for you.
Yeah,
and he thought he was doing you a favor.
Right,
my man Bakes.
Right. I mean, what I don't understand. How hard is it to be a general manager to keep together a group of guys that are being well compensated and to put together the right formula? You may be missing a piece or two every year because you can't find everything that fits correctly in the puzzle. But goddamn, you don't got to blow the puzzle up every year. It's not that hard.
Well, colleges are blowing up that puzzle now every year. We were going over UConn having 50 new guys this season.
But that's a different story. And
that's going to be the norm.
That's a different story, though. But I think college teams now are handcuffed because if you don't have the financial resources, you can't. And guys are going to come and go because there's no rules anymore. It's the Wild Wild West. College is different. You need that. Right. The pros have financial resources.
Yes.
And they all have basically the same budget.
Yes.
So bottom line, they know what they can make fit. They know the people that are out there. Either their scouts stink, or
they don't listen to scouts. I don't think.
Well, I mean, you got to at a certain point. I mean, unless if you're the general manager, you can't see everybody unless you just see them on film.
Right.
I mean, you need the eye test.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't understand. I talked about this a long time ago. Remember, we wanted to take over University of Kansas.
Well, that's what we were going to do. We were going to make it the greatest reality show ever.
We were going to take over the University of Kansas, and there's no way we could fuck it up any more than the people that were there.
We were going to do it for a tenth of the budget.
A tenth of the budget. We would save Kansas $2 million a year in payroll and staff.
Well, a lot more than that.
Probably. Well, yeah, I'm just saying what we would take compared to what they just shell out. So, but I don't understand how you can mess it up to that point. It's to me, it's unfathomable. Can't think of it, how they mess things up.
Dave, what age group do you have at your camp right now?
8 to 14. No, I'm sorry, not 8 to 14. 6 to 14.
Have you seen any real talent, any studs that stuck out?
It's just a youth camp. It's like,
I know that, but you do drills.
We're not trying to find the next pro athlete.
It's just for fun.
Dave, how's the form tackling? Is the form tackling good?
Some of them are just learning the form tackle. Like they haven't even.
Right.
They're not in pads or anything.
No, this is not a showcase. This is a camp.
Do you have any 14-year-olds that have reclassified 6 times yet?
6 times. They don't reclassify at 14.
Oh, well, I thought they did.
No, they don't reclassify at 14.
One of my first contacts with Coach Schuman was a TikTok video. He put up a TikTok. It's obviously online in other places too, but I saw it on TikTok, and it was about some kid who was, I don't know, 17 or something like that, and he was like 6'6", 290 or 310. And so my comment was he reclassified 5 times, and I got like 1,000 likes. People like that. It was great.
Did you really?
Yeah. You also got you got a lot of likes for your political statement too.
Yeah, of course.
Your TikTok is great. I sent it to you. I showed you the one he got on TikTok about the millennials. Yeah, on Rebel Republic. It got close to 10,000 views. I tagged you in it. Yeah, it did great. It was about Mumbadi grabbing onto the 35 and under crowd. We'll talk about it because so many people commented, and we're very upset about it, and calling us communists. But other people liked it.
Calling us communists?
Yeah, somewhat, and saying that we're out of touch. Why? And that not everyone should have podcast equipment. Well, we'll go over the comments on the next show.
Yeah, keep it on the political show.
Yeah. All right. The other thing I wanted to ask you, the hiring of the New York Knicks head coach that finally happened.
Yes.
There was a lot of speculation. Dawn Staley's name was mentioned. Danny Hurley's name was mentioned.
Sure.
They go with Mike Brown.
Mike Brown. Yep.
He's been around the block a few times.
Veteran.
He's a retread.
Yeah.
Is he ultimately the answer? I mean, would you have hired Mike Brown?
Players love him. Administration loves the guy where he's been. Yep. Sports broadcasters and basketball love him. He's a great guy and all that. My prediction is he will fail.
Well, Tom Thibodeau brought a toughness and an attitude to New York that was needed.
Yep. Tom Thibodeau was like
he was
Donald Trump of basketball coaches.
Yes.
He didn't give a fuck.
Right, he did.
He's going to do and say what he wants to say. He's going to play his guys how he wants to play them. And he had the best success New York has had in probably 25 years.
He did. It was the first time this century
got to the finals
that they won a playoff series 3 years in a row.
Right.
And it was the first time this century that they won a playoff series and made it to the final.
Yeah.
And they they were close. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
And they fired him.
Of course.
And I still don't understand why they fired him.
Because administration and ownership did not like him.
You can't do that. It's about winning. I thought it's not about liking someone.
No, it's not. When you don't care about your money, right? It's not about winning. It's about it's almost like being subservient. They wanted the guy to act totally different than he normally acted, and especially probably how he acted when he got hired. I'm sure he didn't come in with hugging, holding babies and hugging and kissing everybody. He's going to say, here's what I'm going to do. Here's my style of coaching. You've seen my track record. I've been assistant to other places. I've been coach other places.
Hasn't he won championships other places?
Didn't win championships.
He won as an assistant.
Yeah, correct. But what I'm saying is that he, from everything that I hear, from NBA, I listen to a lot of NBA today talks, so it's serious. From everything that any reporter has said or any coach has said, in a way, it's that the administration in New York did not like Tom Thibodeau because he was not a friendly guy. He was not a receptive guy. He was not an open guy.
No, he was abrasive.
He was right, and they didn't like that, and that's what soured it.
Yes, right. He's the new coach of the Knicks now.
Mike Brown is. I'm talking about Thibodeau.
Oh yeah, Thibodeau. Yes.
What was wrong? Why does a coach in basketball have to be friendly?
Why does any coach have to be friendly? They don't. They have to win.
Basketball has to interact with 5 guys. I mean, 12 guys or whatever, and answer questions from the media. I don't get it.
That's it. I agree. I don't. That's why I was disappointed.
Yes, I understand. You're right. They all have to now. I know what you're saying, but it seems like what does that matter?
When ownership of New York throws out one of the legends of New York, Charles Oakley, out of Madison Square Garden. Now, granted, they've made amends now. James Dolan. When you throw a legend out of his own stadium, that's the guy that has the arrogant issue.
Yes.
It's not the coach. It's not Tibbs. That's the guy that has the arrogant issue. See, some people with money can handle money. Other people with money are just assholes because they have that money.
Right.
And that's Dolan.
Right.
And so I'm telling you right now, I don't put my money on New York getting back to where they were this year. I don't.
No, I don't either. I don't either.
They're going to have.
They were lucky to make this run.
They're going to have almost the entire same cast.
Yep.
They really haven't made themselves much better with any kind of a trade.
Right.
The draft is the draft. You don't know what you're going to get. So bottom line, I don't see them improving. Now, granted, the rest of the East is going to be down a little bit. So maybe that will give them the boost to get over the top.
Yeah. The West is by far better.
Yeah. The East just has problems top to bottom with teams right now and with injuries. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to see, I don't think you're going to see Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown's a good guy. I think he's a decent coach. But I don't think you're going to see the level of success that Thibodeau had right now from Mike Brown.
And I'll ask the last questions that came in last week were reverting to LeBron James. Do you think LeBron James is going to be traded and or ask for a trade, even though he re-signed a contract? That was a topic of discussion.
He's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Because wherever he goes, his son's got to follow.
Bronny. Well, they say they don't talk about that.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen. And I don't see any other team wanting to take that drama scene on.
Yeah, I don't either.
So, and plus, why would you want to leave now? You have
Luka. Because of the ownership. People said they changed owner. They're for sale.
Yeah, but they changed owners, but they kept the same old owner as its supervising.
Jeannie Buss is staying.
Gene Buss is running the show still.
Oh, okay.
But the owners have changed. So for $10 billion, how about that franchise sale?
Well, of course.
Everyone was having a heart attack when I think Boston went for $4.5 billion.
Yeah,
somewhere in there, $5 billion. The Lakers just doubled it at $10 billion. It's insanity. Pro sports is just beyond.
Dave, what about you? Do you think LeBron, he's going to stay put just because of his son?
I don't know if it has to do with his son, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't really care either.
I like Luka in Dallas. I don't care now that he's on the Lakers. So now I root against him.
All right.
I listen. LeBron is like I like to hate on LeBron too, but LeBron James, this dude like defies time. I don't care what they say about him, whether he's taking enhancement or not. It doesn't even matter. He's what 40, 41.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. He's been in since he was 18.
Yeah,
so
doesn't know anything else.
I mean, he really is that. Like, I don't think he's the greatest basketball player of all time because he's what he's accomplished. But as far as longevity wise, like playing at the highest level for the longest period of time, hands down, has done that in the NBA. No one has played as long and well in their career as he has.
No, I agree. All right. For another banner. No, he's letting the dog out. For another
dogs out.
Banner Moneyline, the voice of reason, Coach Schuman, long day at camp, Rebel Republic.
Would you think I walked out because I was insulted because you didn't have respect for LeBron James?
I didn't know where you went.
The dog demands. The dog will not start barking if he has to go out, but that's his dog too.
That's how my dog is.
That's his dog too.
Shit.
Yeah.
So for the voice of reason, Coach Schuman, happy to have you back from camp. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.